Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. On this auspicious day of Advaita Acharya, the appearance of Advaita Acharya, we're having the reading a little bit early to facilitate the program that is going on Sri Sri Radhanila Madhava's temple. So I won't tell the pastimes of Advaita Acharya because they're going to be told tonight to the devotees at the temple. But we should at least know or remember that before Lord Chaitanya came, different personalities came that acted as his seniors. Madhavendra Puri, Ishwara Puri, Jagadath Mishra, Shachimanta, and Advaita Acharya. Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur also was Advaita Acharya was about 50 years old when Lord Chaitanya appeared, and he and Haridas Thakur are described in Chaitanya Charitamrita to be the cause of the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. Haridas Thakur, he went from 1 or 2, 3 different places, had very many wonderful pastimes, and he ended up at Advaita Acharya's house. And Advaita Acharya made a cave for him nearby his house, and they would associate together regularly. And it's described that Advaita Acharya, when he saw how materialistic everybody had come, and what to speak of in Navadvip, which was supposed to be the spiritual, capital and of spiritual education of the world at that time, but they had all turned into Shaktis and worshippers of Durga and selfish types of devotion for their own materialistic and for their sense gratification. And they were antagonistic and against pure Vaishnavism. So Advaita Acharya, he's Mahavishnu. So he came to bring Krishna, but when he came and saw what was going on, he said only Krishna could turn this around. In this way, even though he's God himself or an expansion of God, he acknowledged Lord Chaitanya to be the Supreme Lord, and he would worship him. But anyway, Lord Chaitanya came, and he didn't reveal himself in the beginning. Advaita Acharya knew everything, Lord Chaitanya knew everything, but for the pastime, Lord Chaitanya covered himself for some time before he came out. But before that, Advaita Acharya, he decided that only Krishna could turn the situation around, as I said before. So he sat down and he started to worship. A verse came from his mind out of the Gotamiya Tantra. There's a verse in the Gotamiya Tantra that said that if a person worships with love, the Shalagram Shila, with tulsi leaves, then the Lord gives himself to that person, becomes very obliged to that person. So Advaita Acharya was doing that simultaneously, and they were talking, him back and forth every day. Haridas Thakur and Advaita Acharya were talking. And Haridas Thakur at the same time was in his cave chanting 300,000 names a day, praying for the Lord to come. So Advaita Acharya was praying for the Lord to come, and Haridas Thakur was Brahma. He's an incarnation of Brahma. So there you have Lord Brahma and Mahavishnu together, who together created the whole universe. They're conspiring or begging the Supreme Lord to come, and Lord Chaitanya came. And they had wonderful pastimes, wonderful, wonderful pastimes. I'll let the temple program tell the rest, some more pastimes of Advaita Acharya. I want to get to the reading of them. But this is a very special day for us, so let us hear. One time, Advaita Acharya was always trying to worship Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya was always trying to worship Advaita Acharya. And there were many funny, comical pastimes as how they would try to worship each other. And in order to get Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Advaitacharya was felt bad because Lord Chaitanya had chastised a couple of devotees, and he was always trying to worship Advaitacharya. So Advaitacharya felt bad. He said, I can't get the mercy that you give these devotees that you chastise. Kamalakanta Vishwas was one of them. He said, well, but then he devised a scheme. So he sat down and started preaching from the Yoga Vashishta, Mayavad philosophy, impersonal philosophy, and liberation was the goal. And somebody went and ran and told Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya says, I can't believe this is not possible. Dvaitacharya preached, no, it's not possible. So he went to where Lord Chaitanya was, and he was sitting on the Vyasasana and giving a class. And sure enough, he was speaking on the Yoga Vashishta, and exalting the liberation as a final goal. Lord Chaitanya drug him off of the Vyasasana, out of the room, and started to beat him on his back, And then, all the devotees freaked out, And the wife, you can't do that, you're going to kill him, And so Lord Advaitacharya said, finally, I've become your intimate associate, one who you can chastise. And Lord Chaitanya became very happy, and then he stopped, and he felt embarrassed. And anyway, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are like an ocean. I can't wait to start reading in this with you all, the Chaitanya Charitamrita together all the way through. That's going to be really something. That's going to be really something. We have something to look forward. We always have something to look forward to in the Krishna consciousness movement. It's an ocean. We've fallen into an ocean of knowledge, an ocean of pastimes, an ocean of activity. We never end. There's never an end to it. Unlimited, anandam, buddhi vardhanam, ever-ending nectar, ocean of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Okay, we'll go on to the Bhagavatam now. Sanatana Goswami was one of the senior disciples of Lord Chaitanya, and he wrote this glorification of Srimad-Bhagavatam. We say it every day, but every day it's nice, and it gets nicer and nicer. The deeper we go, there's unlimited meanings to this prayer, glorifying the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram Ki Jai. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwan Doditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Padaya Prema Varshaksharaya Te Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madhika Bando Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadana Man Nistadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu Saduta Dayin Atini Chochata Kara Hanamun Jagadachin Mam Premna Ritkanta Yospura O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So, before we start the reading of Bhagavatam, I'll give you a little encouragement for the Brahmacharya ashram. I was having lunch yesterday with Ritatvaj Maharaj and Kripa Moya, our dear God brother, and Kripa Moya said, you know, I'm completely shocked that there's a Brahmacharya ashram here. He said, it's so wonderful to see an actual ashram structured and working, and devotees happy, and going out and preaching, and being at the morning programs, and hearing every day about it. He said it put him in ecstasy. And then Anantashwar came tonight, and he told me that Radhesham Prabhu, do you know Radhesham? He's the president of Pune, disciple of Radhanath Maharaj, a very special person. I gave a lecture in IIT Bombay back in 1980 something, or the end of 78. I don't remember which one it was, but he was there studying, and he came to the lecture, and he told me later on that it had changed his life, and then he joined. So he's very close with Radhesham Ananteshwar. So he was talking to him on the telephone, and he's going to come in March, I guess he's going to come and visit some place in the East Coast. They invited him. And then he told him what we were doing, that we have a Brahmacharya ashram. He says, oh, Brahmacharya ashram in Houston, how is that possible? He said, I want to come and see and spend some time with the Brahmacharis. So just to encourage you all, that the word is spreading, what's going on here. So we just keep doing this. We've got a very strong core of Brahmacharis, and just keep doing this, and gradually don't be passionate about it. Just boil the milk, become mature yourselves, and gradually it will expand into something wonderful. Hare Krishna. That's my encouragement to you all, since we have mainly Brahmacharis here, and we have this ancient Brahmacharya over there next to the Brahmacharya leader, Sarvabhauma. Hare Krishna. Okay, we have reached the Srimad-Bhagavatam. 11th canto, 5th chapter, 43rd verse. So we must be coming close to the end of this chapter. Is it?
About 9 verses.
9 verses. We'll probably finish today. We're coming to the end of the teachings of the Nava-yogendras, and probably there'll be something from Narada, because he's going to talk to Vasudeva. So we're beginning with text 43. Yes, this is Narada Muni speaking now. We've heard the whole discussion between Nimi and the Nava-yogendras. Narada Muni said, having thus heard the science of devotional service, Nimi, the king of Mithila, felt extremely satisfied, and along with the sacrificial priests, offered respectful worship to the sagacious sons of Jayanti. Purport. The word Jayantayan indicates the 9 yogendras who were born from the womb of Jayanti, the wife of Rishabhadev. Text 44. The perfect sages then disappeared before the eyes of everyone present. King Nimi faithfully practiced the principles of spiritual life he had learned from them, and thus he achieved the supreme goal of life. Text 45. O greatly fortunate Vasudeva, simply apply with faith these principles of devotional service which you have heard, and thus, being free from material association, you will attain the Supreme. Purport. Narada Muni related to Krishna's father, Vasudeva, the story of the enlightenment of King Nimi. Now Narada reveals that Vasudeva himself will also achieve the supreme perfection of life by practicing the same principles spoken long ago by the 9 Yogendras. Actually, Vasudeva was already a personal associate of the Supreme Lord, but due to his natural humility as a great devotee, he was determined to perfect his love of Krishna. Thus we can observe the exalted status of the parents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ordinary persons feel that the Supreme Lord is always to be worshipped as the Supreme Father, who supplies everything for the living entities. Such an attitude is not the perfection of love of Godhead, because when a son is young, he is incapable of giving much service to his father, mother and father, and mother and father. When this child is very young, it is rather the parents who are constantly serving the child. So when the devotee takes the role of mother or father of Krishna, there is unlimited opportunity for rendering loving service to the Lord, whom the devotee ecstatically accepts as his son. It was Vasudeva's good fortune that Narada Muni personally revealed to him the wonderful teachings given by the Nava-Yogendras long, long ago to the saintly King Nimi. Text 46. Indeed, the whole world has become filled with the glories of you and your good wife, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, has taken the position of your son. Purport. In this verse, Narada Muni hints at the glories of Vasudeva and Devaki, the parents of Krishna and Balarama. By the words Yashasha, Puritam Jagat, the whole world is now filled with your glories. In other words, although Vasudeva inquired from Narada about spiritual advancement, Narada here states, you are already completely glorious due to your extraordinary devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 47. My dear Vasudeva, you and your good wife Devaki, having manifested great transcendental love for Krishna, accepting him as your son. Indeed, you are always seeing the Lord, embracing him, speaking with him, resting with him, sitting together with him, and taking your meals with him. By such affectionate and intimate association with the Lord, undoubtedly both of you have completely purified your hearts. In other words, you are already perfect. Purport. The words Atmavam Pavita in this verse are very significant. Ordinary conditioned souls are required to purify their existence by practicing the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga and learning how to offer all of their activities in the devotional service of the Lord. Such a regulative, gradual process, however, cannot be applied to those exalted souls who are personally attending the Lord as his parents, boyfriends, girlfriends, advisors, sons, etc. Due to Vasudeva and Devaki's intense love for Krishna as their son, they had already achieved the highest perfectional stage of life. Although in the previous verse, Sri Narada Muni informed Vasudeva that he and his wife had become glorious by Krishna's taking birth as their son, Vasudeva might have argued that other personal associates of the Lord, such as Jai and Vijay, had fallen down due to offending the Brahmana class. Therefore, in the present verse, Narada has used the word pavita. You are completely purified, and therefore you are completely free from the slightest trace of discrepancy in your devotional service, due to your intense love for Krishna. It is understood from the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that Sri Vasudeva, Krishna's pastime father, is actually an eternally liberated Nityasiddha, associate of the personality of Godhead. Vasudeva has a spiritual body, just as Krishna does, and he is always merged in the overwhelming ecstatic desire to serve Krishna, his beautiful son. However, Narada could understand that due to extreme humility, Vasudeva considered himself an ordinary human being and was feeling very anxious to receive transcendental instructions on the devotional service of the Lord. Accepting the ecstatic humility of Vasudeva, and to relieve his anxiety, Sri Narada Muni instructed him in the science of Bhakti Yoga, as one might instruct an ordinary human being. However, at the same time, should be same time. Make a note. Tell me later. And be sure and do that. This is important.
I have a list I can
That you.
tell you anytime.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should. Or maybe even you could write it in a file and send it to me as a file.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea. However, at the same time, Narada has revealed that actually Sri Vasudeva and Devaki are already completely glorious by their unprecedented fortune of having Krishna and Balaram as their sons. Therefore, Narada is telling Vasudeva, "My dear Vasudeva, do not in any way be discouraged or doubtful about your position. Undoubtedly, you are immediately going back home, back to Godhead. And actually, you and your good wife are the most fortunate persons. In conclusion, everyone should become fortunate by fully developing his dormant love for Krishna. Many terrible demons who opposed Krishna eventually achieved this happy state of life by their association with Krishna. Therefore, there is no doubt about the supreme bliss achieved by the loving devotees of the Lord, who day and night can only think of pleasing Krishna." Text 48. Inimical kings like Shishupal, Paundraka, and Shalva were always thinking about Lord Krishna, even while they were lying down, sitting, or engaging in other activities. They enviously meditated upon the bodily movements of the Lord, his sporting pastimes, his loving glances upon his devotees, and other attractive features displayed by the Lord. Being thus always absorbed in Krishna, they achieved spiritual liberation in the Lord's own abode. What then can be said of the benedictions offered to those who constantly fix their minds on Lord Krishna in a favorable, loving mood? Purport. On the eve of the disappearance of Lord Krishna from this world, Vasudeva became filled with lamentation, thinking that he had not properly utilized the opportunity of the Lord's personal presence to become perfectly Krishna conscious. However, Narada Muni assured Sri Vasudeva that the glories of Vasudeva and his good wife Devaki were chanted throughout the universe, because even the demigods worshipped the exalted status of the Lord's own parents. Vasudeva was not only concerned about his own spiritual position, but he also lamented for the Yadu dynasty, which he had left in the world in an apparently inauspicious way, being cursed by great brahmanas such as Narada, and dying in a fratricidal war. Although the members of the Yadu dynasty were personal associates of the Lord, their disappearance from the earth was apparently inauspicious, and therefore Vasudeva was concerned about their eventual destination. So Narada here assures Vasudeva that even the demons who opposed Krishna, such as Shishupal, Paundraka, and Shalva, achieved promotion to the Lord's own abode because of their constant absorption in thinking of Krishna. Therefore, what to speak of the exalted members of the Yadu dynasty, who actually loved Krishna more than anything. Anurakta punak kim. Similarly, as stated in the Garuda Purana, Agyanina Suravaram Samadik Shipanto Yam Papino Pi Shishupala Suyodanadyaha Muktim Gata Smaranamatra Viduta Papa Kaksangshayak Padama Bhakti Matam Jananam. Even foolish sinners like Shishupal and Duryodhana, who showered abuse upon the Lord, were cleansed of all sins simply by remembering Lord Krishna. Somehow or other, their minds were absorbed in the Lord, and thus they attained liberation. What doubt, then, is there about the destination of those who are overwhelmed with devotional feelings for the Lord? Vasudeva was also feeling anxiety because on the one hand, he was aware that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but at the same time, he treated the Lord as his beloved son. In the relationship between the father and son, sometimes the father must chastise the son and restrict him in various ways. In this way, Vasudeva was feeling that undoubtedly he had offended the Lord in his attempt to train Lord Krishna as his son. However, Lord Krishna is actually pleased when a pure devotee becomes absorbed in parental love for him and thus devotedly tries to care for him, just as loving parents care for a small child. Krishna reciprocates the intense loving devotional feelings of such devotees by actually appearing before them as a young boy and acting just like their son. As mentioned in this verse, the demons actually chastised Krishna with feelings of enmity. Nevertheless, such demons attained liberation due to their absorption in Krishna. Therefore, what to speak of the destination of Vasudeva, who chastised Krishna due to his overwhelming parental love for him? The conclusion is that the devotees of the Lord should never consider Vasudeva and Devaki to be ordinary, conditioned souls. Their relationship with Lord Krishna is completely on the transcendental platform of Vatsalya Rasa, or parental love for the personality of Godhead. It has nothing to do with the parental love of the material world, which is based on a mood of sense gratification, since the parents see their children as objects of material enjoyment. Text 49. Do not think of Krishna as an ordinary child, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, inexhaustible, and the soul of all beings. The Lord has concealed his inconceivable opulences and is outwardly appearing to be an ordinary human being. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna is the original source of all plenary incarnations of the Absolute Truth. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. His unlimited transcendental opulences are inexhaustible, and thus he very easily brings the entire creation under his personal control. Lord Krishna is the eternal well-wisher of every living entity, so there was no need for Vasudeva to be anxious about his future destination, nor that of the other personal associates of Krishna, such as members of the Yadu dynasty. In verse 46 of this chapter, Narada Muni told Vasudeva, Putratam agamad yadvam bhagavan ishvaro harihi. You and your good wife are now glorified throughout the universe because Lord Krishna has personally become your son. In this way, Narada is encouraging Vasudeva to continue to love Krishna as his most beloved son, for such ecstatic devotional feelings are never to be given up. But at the same time, Narada is removing Vasudeva's doubts about the future by assuring him, due to your love for Krishna, you may think that he is an ordinary human being. You are appearing like a human being, and Lord Krishna is simply reciprocating with you in order to encourage you to love him as your son, he is placing himself under your control, and thus his inconceivable power that is there, and thus his inconceivable power and opulences are being concealed from you. Don't assume, however, that there is actually a dangerous situation because of the events of this material world. Although Krishna appears to be under your control, he is eternally the supreme controller. Therefore, do not consider him to be a human being. He is always the supreme personality of Godhead. The word Maya in this verse indicates that Krishna's manusya, or human-like activities, are actually misleading to the ordinary man, because Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Maya also means transcendental potencies, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sambhavam Yatma Mayaya. The Lord descends in his own transcendental form, filled with transcendental potencies. And thus the Lord's Maya, Manusya, Bhavina here also indicate Krishna's original transcendental form, which resembles the human-like forms experienced in this world. Maya also indicates mercy or compassion, according to the Sanskrit dictionary, and thus the Lord's incarnation is understood to be his causeless mercy upon the conditioned souls. The Lord's descent is also his causeless mercy upon the conditioned souls, who take immense pleasure in joining the Lord in his pastimes and in chanting and hearing about such exalted spiritual activities. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Hearing about them is the same as being there, if you're in the right consciousness. That's the goal. In order to reciprocate the love of Vasudeva for him, Krishna mostly concealed his unlimited opulences. In this way, the devotee is fully encouraged in his particular loving relationship with the Lord. However, when Vasudeva was filled with anxiety due to the dangerous situation created by the Brahmana's curse, Narada immediately reminded him that such anxiety was unnecessary, since all these events were under the direct control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus the Vaishnava Paramahamsas, who take the position of the Lord's parents, remain under the shelter of the Lord at all times and never deviate from the loving devotional service of the Lord. They remain fixed in transcendence in all circumstances, unlike ordinary parents of the material world, who are constantly becoming bewildered by illusion due to the bodily concept of life. Text 50. The Supreme Personality of Godhead descended to kill the demoniac kings who were the burden of the earth and to protect the saintly devotees. However, both the demons and the devotees are awarded liberation by the Lord's mercy. Thus, his transcendental fame has spread throughout the universe. Purport. A doubt may arise concerning the Supreme Personality of Godhead's descent to this material world. Since he is the omnipotent creator of millions of universes, why do the devotees glorify as wonderful the Lord's activities, such as his killing a witch named Putana by sucking out her life through her breast? Although such activities are certainly beyond the scope of ordinary human beings, why should they be considered wonderful when executed by the omnipotent personality of Godhead? The answer is given in this verse by the word nivrityai. The Lord killed the demons not because he was envious of them, but in order to give them spiritual liberation. Thus, the causeless mercy of the personality of Godhead in liberating both the devotees and the demons by his inconceivable pastimes clearly distinguishes the Lord from any other living entity, either man or demigod. It is stated, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnu Eva Nasangshayaha. Only Vishnu can give liberation beyond birth and death. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur has pointed out that generally the demons are awarded impersonal liberation in the Brahman effulgence, whereas the devotees are given the superior benediction of love of Godhead in the spiritual planets. Thus the Lord exhibits his causeless mercy toward all classes of living entities, and his fame is spread throughout the universe. Because Krishna is transcendental, his fame is not different from his personal incarnation. So as the Lord's fame expands, the entire universe is gradually liberated. These are some of the unique characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 51. Sri Shukadeva Goswami continued, having heard this narration, the greatly fortunate Vasudeva was completely struck with wonder. Thus, he and his most blessed wife Devaki gave up all illusion and anxiety that had entered their hearts. Text 52. Anyone who meditates on this pious historical narration with fixed attention will purify himself of all contamination in this very life and thus achieve the highest spiritual perfection. These are not ordinary benedictions. Try to understand. This is facts. This is the source of unlimited confidence, unlimited relief, and eventually unlimited bliss. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 11th canto, 5th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled, Narada concludes his teachings to Vasudeva. Jai Narada Muni ki jai, Vasudeva ki jai, Devaki ki jai, Sri Krishna ki jai, O Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. So that chapter took a little long time to get through. Yeah. Okay. I did 77 pages today, so you can understand the difference. Yeah. Because, it's all pastimes, and they're just very short verses mainly. But such nectarian pastimes and nectarian verses, it's like unbelievable. Okay. Moving quite right along, 5:50. We started at what time? 5. Okay. Okay. Chapter 6. The Yadu dynasty retires to Prabhas. This chapter describes how Brahma and other demigods, after offering prayers to Lord Sri Krishna, requested the Lord to return to his own abode, and how Uddhava, anticipating separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was very distressed and prayed to Sri Krishna that he might accompany him on his return to that abode. Desiring to see Sri Krishna in his human-like form, which enchants all the worlds, the Gandharvas, Apsaras, Nagas, Rishis, Pitas, Vidyadharas, Kinnaras, and other demigods, all headed by Brahma, Shiva, and Indra, arrived at the city of Dwarka. Covering the body of Krishna with flower garlands from Nandana gardens of heaven, they praised him with statements about his transcendental power and qualities. All living entities, beginning with Brahma, are subordinate to Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna creates the universe by empowering his expansion, Mahavishnu. Although Krishna creates, maintains, and destroys this world through his material energy, he remains transcendental to the material energy and perfectly self-satisfied. Even in the midst of his 16,000 queens, Lord Krishna is undisturbed. Performers of fruitive sacrifices, and yogis, desiring mystic power, contemplate the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna to attain their materialistic objectives. But the most elevated devotees, who desire liberation from the bondage of material work, lovingly contemplate the Lord's lotus-like feet, because those feet are the fire that destroys all desires for sense gratification. One cannot actually purify the mind by ordinary worship, penance, and other such processes. One can purify the mind, contaminated by sense gratification, only through mature faith in the mode of goodness, which arises by hearing the glories of Krishna. Shall we hear that again? Are you sure you want to hear it again? You sure? Okay. All right, here we go. Concentrate. One can purify the mind contaminated by sense gratification only through mature faith in the mode of goodness, which arises by hearing the glories of Krishna. Congratulations, boys. Congratulations. Therefore, intelligent persons situated in the Varnashram system serve the two kinds of holy places, the nectarian rivers of the topics of Krishna and the nectarian rivers flowing from the Lord's lotus feet. By incarnating within the Yadu dynasty, Krishna performed the highest welfare work for the entire universe by displaying his transcendental pastimes. Simply by hearing and chanting about these pastimes, pious persons in Kali Yuga can definitely cross over the ocean of material illusion. When the Lord had fulfilled the purpose of his descent, and the Yadu dynasty was facing imminent destruction from the Brahmana's curse, the Lord desired to wind up his pastimes. When Brahma prayed to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna for the deliverance of himself and all the other demigods, Sri Krishna revealed in his reply that after the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, he would return to his own abode. Interesting point, I have to interject this. You know, we were talking earlier about how it was Advaita Acharya who brought the Lord by his prayers and his calling and his insistent calling. So at the end of the pastimes, you remember what happened? Advaita Acharya sent a message with Lord Nityananda to Jagannath Puri. And that message, no one could understand what he was saying. But the message more or less said, I don't remember the exact words, but the essence of it was, you know, the stocks of food are now filled. There's no need to give more food, or something like that. It was completely, but it was what it was is Lord Chaitanya getting the word to leave just as he got the word to come. And after he got that message, which no one else could understand, Lord Chaitanya, immediately he started going into deeper and deeper ecstasies. And then, not long after that, he left. So this is a very interesting thing. How Krishna decides to come and go at his own will. Observing terrible disturbances indicating the imminent destruction of the world, Lord Krishna called together the wise members of the Yadu dynasty and reminded them of the Brahmana's curse. The Lord convinced them to go to Prabhastirtha, where they could save themselves by the performance of ritual bathing, charity, and so on. The Yadus, in obedience to Krishna's desire, prepared to journey to Prabhas. Upon seeing and hearing the Lord's conversation with the Yadu dynasty, Uddhava approached Lord Sri Krishna in a secluded place, offered him full obeisances, and with folded hands expressed his inability to tolerate separation from the Lord. He begged Krishna to carry him to his own abode. Now this is very interesting because there's two meetings of Krishna and Uddhava at the end. One is at this time, and the other is after the thing is already done, and Krishna tells Uddhava to go, to stay here, not to come with them. And then Uddhava couldn't tolerate, and he kind of came back and he found Krishna underneath the people tree. That's when he was getting ready to leave and gave his final instructions. That's when Maitreya was there, if I remember. Yeah, I think so, yeah. If one tastes the nectar of Krishna's pastimes with his ears, one loses all hankerings for other things. Persons who engage constantly in Krishna's service while eating, sporting, sleeping, sitting, etc., cannot tolerate separation from Krishna. They honor all kinds of remnants from Sri Krishna and thus conquer the Lord's illusory energy. Peaceful members of the renounced order attain Brahmaloka after exhaustive and painful exertion, whereas the devotees of the Lord simply discuss Lord Krishna among themselves, chant and remember his various pastimes and instructions, and thus automatically cross beyond the insurmountable material energy. So this is a very important statement here, because sometimes the smarta brahmanas and the so-called big philosophers and everything, they're thinking that no, you can't do it just by like doing this. Gopal Chapala, when they were discussing with the brothers Hiranya and Govardhan, Raghunath's father, his father and uncle, and they were having this discussion, and they invited Haridas Thakur, and this Gopal Chapala he was employed by the brothers, and he was helping them collect taxes to give to the government. And he was very good looking, and he was very learned, and he was very proud. He was smarta. And then somebody made the statement that, simply the mere, glance of the holy name can give liberation, and he couldn't accept it. And then Haridas Thakur said, that's nothing. That's not that's just a byproduct of what you get by chanting the holy name. The holy name gives you pure love of God and can take you back to the spiritual world. Liberation is nothing. And Gopal Chapala he freaked out, he started to blaspheme, Haridas Thakur, and he said, if the mere, glimpse of the holy name can give liberation, I will surely cut off your nose. This is a big offense. And everybody was up in arms and they were going to kill him, And Haridas Thakur said, no, don't, take it easy. Easy, boys, easy. And he looked at me and he said, if a mere glimpse of the holy name does not give liberation, I will surely cut off my own nose. The next day, or 2 days later, he got leprosy. And guess what happened? His nose fell off. Literally. So just by discussing, these people, those kinds of people are thinking you have to do austerities and you have to do the varnashram system exactly without making a mistake. And if you don't, then you're doomed, and all these things, all these vicious thoughts and faithless thoughts. But we get everything just by chanting together and by hearing about Krishna's pastimes together. That's it. There isn't anything more. There isn't anything higher. One time in San Francisco, in the beginning, there was one, when Prabhupada was giving lectures in Frederick Street, and it was filled with hippies of one variety or another, and a few other people. Jayananda was not a hippie, but a few others like that. But at one point there was this real mad guy who was on LSD or something, and he kept arguing with Prabhupada and arguing with Prabhupada and arguing with Prabhupada. And finally Prabhupada he cried. He literally shed tears. He says, there isn't anything higher than the holy name. I'm trying to give you the best thing. please take it. And then the rest of the audience became ecstatic. Okay. Text 1. Shukadeva Goswami said, Lord Brahma then set off for Dwaraka, accompanied by his own sons, as well as by the demigods and the great Prajapatis. Thank you so much, Sarva. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, Lord Brahma then set off for Dwaraka, accompanied by his own sons, as well as by the demigods and the great Prajapatis. Lord Shiva, the bestower of auspiciousness to all living beings, also went, surrounded by many ghostly creatures. Text 2. The powerful Lord Indra, along with the Maruts, Adityas, Vasus, Ashwinis, Ribus, Angiras, Rudras, Vishwadevas, Sadyas, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Nagas, Siddhas, Charanas, Guyakas, the great sages and forefathers, and the Vidyadharas and the Kinnaras, arrived at the city of Dwarka, hoping to see Lord Krishna. By his transcendental form, Krishna, the Supreme Lord, enchanted all human beings and spread his own fame throughout the world. The Lord's glories destroy all contamination within the universe. Purport. The personality of Godhead descends within the material world to assist the demigods in the cosmic management. Thus the demigods can normally see such forms of the Lord as Upendra. However, here it is indicated that although accustomed to seeing various Vishnu expansions of the Lord, the demigods were specifically eager to see the most beautiful form of the Lord as Krishna. Deha dehi vibhagascha neshwade vidyate kvachit. There is no distinction between the Supreme Lord and his personal body. The jiva soul is different from his body, but the beautiful transcendental form of the Lord is identical with the Lord in all respects. And we'll do one more, then we'll stop. Text 5. In that resplendent city of Dwarka, rich with all superior opulences, the demigods beheld with unsatiated eyes the wonderful form of Sri Krishna. Text 6. The demigods covered the Supreme Lord of the universe with flower garlands brought from the gardens of heaven. Then they praised him, the best of the Yadu dynasty, with statements containing charming words and ideas. Text 7. The demigods began to speak. We'll stop there. It's 6:06. And we're right at a stopping place, just the demigods begin to speak. We'll hear about that tomorrow. Okay. Open mic time. Okay, Bhakti Doug's going to start us off. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Bhakti Doug.
I just had something, a realization, something clicked when you were reading. It was similar to what we were hearing earlier today, how whatever Vishnu does, whether he gives praise or punishment, it's always his mercy. And then it just clicked when I heard about Krishna. The reason why we're glorifying him killing demons, it's not the same as we might see with like material things where someone's just killing someone, but it's actually his mercy for them. He's giving them liberation in the process. So, and that's his punishment. It's just amazing.
Yes, and also Prabhupada also told us that, we hear about Krishna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and we hear all kinds of details about that in different Bart and other places. But we're not interested in a battlefield. We're interested in it, and our battle, we're interested in it because Krishna is there. So everything in relationship with Krishna is supremely purifying. I can see Jaya pouring over the... Okay, Prana, take us to the next step.
Well, I was just thinking about how even the demons were attaining the liberation, and even some attained prema due to Krishna's killing them or defeating them. So Narada Muni explains, well, what to speak of the devotees who serve the Lord with, devotion. And I was just reflecting on that because the tendency is there sometimes to feel discouragement that I'm not able to practice, or I'm so fallen, or better just give it up, or something like this. And I was just thinking that's not really in touch with reality, because I was thinking, like, even with that, we have to take Krishna's opinion. Krishna's opinion is sense gratification is not good, but his opinion also is that it's not something to, that you should, there's no. Basically, he says that there's no stoppage to devotional service. It's there's no interruption, or how do I say? There's no.
Nothing can stop the flow of devotional service once it starts.
And so I was just thinking, one way to conquer the mind is to accept Guru and Krishna's opinion on these matters, and their opinion is it's not a good reason to stop, even if you're the most fallen or this or that. One should continue with determination to serve Krishna no matter what. So
I think that this thought is a very nice thought, and it's related directly to the very end of the reading, in the last chapter, where it says that just hearing the pastimes gives the full thing. And it's so easy to do, and anybody can do it. We hear what we do. We hear that prayer every day. We're doing the Srimad-Bhagavatam Mahima Stotram, and what does it say? I'm thinking of one particular. My mind went somewhere else, and I got to get back by going to it.
You can always be served by everyone.
Yeah, you can always be served by everyone. There's no. Every syllable pours down the flood of payment. You can always be served by everyone. So that kind of fits into what we heard, how, the demons, they think they have to do something spectacular, or they have to do some austerity that's so extreme. Like Hiranyakashipu, he became so powerful. I mean, Brahma told him, he said, what you've done, no one else has ever done, and no one else will ever do before. So now I'm obliged, I've got to give you the benediction that you want. Of course, he couldn't give him, liberation. Couldn't give him immortality in the same body. But just see what we get. And this is the point I'm making that goes to your point. Just see what we get. Well, how can we think anything different than this? How can we think that there's something beyond the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna and the great souls who we're hearing discuss the pastimes of Krishna? We're actually getting the summum bonum when we hear the Bhagavatam together. There isn't, and the Harinam, Sankirtan, holy names. There's nothing better than this. Nothing can give you something higher than this. It's just a matter of becoming mature. I think it was mentioned in one of the purports. We just need to become mature. And how do you become mature? How does a fruit on a tree become mature? Stays on the tree. Take it off the tree too soon, and it, or leave it on too long, Just leave it here, just leave it right here, and just keep hearing these pastimes, and we will become mature together. This idea just is like exploded with happiness when I heard that. And it also means what we're doing. It's confirming what we're doing is the best thing to do. This is the best thing to do. And when we get people to come by doing this, we get mature people. We get people who are more capable. So we should go out there and search the fields. Yeah. Wonderful. Realization, wonderful. Thank you.
It's just so important. I really appreciate your emphasis on hearing Prabhupada's books, daily readings of Srila Prabhupada. It's probably the most important thing there is, because if one's not hearing these books, then the whole practice of devotional service, there may be that lack of guidance and understanding of what it is.
It's all here. It's all here. We don't have to go anywhere else. And even if there are books from other sampradayas who have different details of different interesting things or this or that, stories or whatever, Prabhupada's line is so fresh, And it's interesting too, because we're hearing the purports written by after Prabhupada left. I mean, how cool is that? How cool is that? These purports are profound, not just that they're written in expert English, they're deep, they awaken. At least that's the way what I'm feeling when I'm reading them. Expertly done, expert and empowered. So just stay in Prabhupada's line and just hear Prabhupada's books every day, and you'll become mature. Just like a fruit staying on the tree will become ripened. And actually, it's more important than any other activity. Congregational chanting of the name and congregational hearing of the Bhagavatam. This is it. This is Bhagavad Dharma. This is the Bhagavat Marg. Most important. Can give everything.
I was just going to reflect about how powerful sound vibration actually is. I heard a mundane song the other day. It was like a Simon and Garfunkel song or something like that. And it just got stuck in my head. I just can't get it out still. It's been days. And it just, like when I wake up, it just plays. Because I used to listen to that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And now I only heard like, short segment. Now I'm here. All the lyrics are coming back. Everything's coming. I was just thinking, wow, the sound vibration is so powerful. If only the holy names could get stuck in my head like that, or the verses of the Bhagavatam.
They are. But this is a realization that anything that goes in, this is why it's very, very important to spend at least some time in this ashram that you guys are in right now, learning how to regulate your senses and staying away from those kinds of things, Because what it means is that everything that you've heard, felt, smelled, touched, experienced, it goes into the mind. The mind is like a hard drive, It's the storage part, and it's all there. So the more time we spend, away from it, the weaker it becomes. And the more we fill our minds with these things, the other things become eventually just washed out. They can't, dissolved. They can't hold a candle to this. And that's why when you hear that thing, I was a professional musician. I used to play jazz trumpet, believe it or not. And I was really good at it. I would play with John Handy and people. You don't even know these people. This is a long time before your time. But sometimes I just, in sleep or something, I get these riffs in my, and I can go on and on and on. And it's there, and I just have to say, enough, stop it, just stop. Okay, that's it. I don't want that anymore. Stop it. And then it just stops. That means the desire has to be very strong not to go there. And you can stop it. That's my recent realization over the last few years of being able to just stop it when it goes there. Of course, it helps that I'm hearing and chanting 9 hours a day. That helps. That helps. But you guys, I mean, you know, you got it. You're doing this every day. You're doing morning programs, seeing the deities, going out, distributing the books, trying to convince some people, bringing them here, making devotees. That's it. The taste is so high. If you just keep doing this and regulate and just keep doing this until you like it so much that you can't give it up, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And plus, as I said earlier, the word's spreading. People are starting to hear about what's going on here. Even though it just seems like a little thing. We're thinking just a little thing. But there's not very many brahmachari ashrams in the West anymore, especially in America. Very few. And very few that have the kind of setup that we have and the support from the, you know, from the top and clear, you know, nobody's trying to get you to, you know, to protected. You're protected, actually. Yeah, and that's really important. Hare Krishna. Long cherished desire fulfilled. Dreams do come true. And it doesn't make any difference if you're in pain or not. It makes no difference. Can't touch you. Okay, I think I'll stop now because, you know, there's going to be a program for Dvaitacharya in the temple. And let you guys go over there and participate and get the nectar. Hare Krishna. Let the old man. Hare Krishna. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. Advaitacharya Prabhu ki jai. The Panchatattva ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Wait, Saturday, yes. 6 o'clock, same place, same station, live studios here at Sri Radha Lane. Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow.